Hi guys, so this is video number 3. So sorry I'm late in getting it up. I've been a little bit tired, you know. I kind of get ahead of myself when I say, oh yeah, I can get it up the next day. Things take me a little bit longer right now because I'm really tired. And then today, this morning, where I have my staples, I think in the middle of the night I scratched off some of the scabs in between the staples because when they put the staples on my closure where my stoma was, there were some pretty big gaps that were oozing, which is normal first when they had that there, and they scab over, but they came off somehow in the middle of the night, so I was having a lot of stuff oozing. It oozed through my shirt. I'm just concerned I couldn't get it to stop, so by 2 o'clock I called the nurse that I was constantly talking to on my surgeon's team, who I was constantly talking to when I had my ileostomy. I called him, let him know what's going on. He said, oh, I'll contact the surgery department, just go to the hospital or go to the doctors and I'll let them know you're coming and they'll check it out. Luckily, it's nothing bad. It's normal. You just have a lot of fluid that builds up when you have a wound like that. Your body ends up absorbing the fluid, but now those holes are kind of open again because the scabs got off, so they just gave me a little kit and put gauze over it. It should close back up eventually. I just don't want it getting all over my clothes. So no infection. I feel good. That just took a big chunk out of my day. And it is now a little bit late in the evening, I think almost 7 o'clock, and I'm just starting on this video. So anyways, I really hope that my last video helped with anything anybody was interested in or confused about or wondering about. I'm so sorry that it was 46 minutes long. I'm a babbler. Hopefully this one won't be as long. We'll see. Things that I realized though that I didn't mention in that video that I probably should have mentioned is the what you eat and the way that it affects when it comes out of your stoma. They do give you a list of what you should and should not eat, what you definitely should stay away from because you can have blockages. Lettuce was one of the things that they said. Luckily, I think that's a hit and a miss for people. Luckily, I was able to have lettuce when I had my ileostomy. Now that I'm closed, I'm not gonna try that yet because now it's kind of different. I'm gonna wait. They definitely said no beans. I learned the hard way. I had a partial blockage. I already heard from a personal friend who has this that he can't have popcorn. It causes blockages. I haven't had popcorn in probably 2 years anyways because I don't eat grains. So, you know, so there's those. But then there's also like spicy things they talk about. And I always remember mostly people talking about spicy stuff and how it hits your bottom once you're connected with the J-pouch and how you can have butt burn when you eat spicy things. But they really never talked about that necessarily around your stoma when you had the ostomy bag. I did notice, because I love spicy stuff, although I can't technically have it because I don't have nightshades. Sometimes I cheat, I'll be honest, when it comes to peppers like jalapenos and stuff with nightshades. I did notice with certain things, jalapenos didn't really bother me. I didn't go full force with those, but buffalo sauce, it depends. I had a hamburger from a really healthy hamburger, but they made their own buffalo sauce. I noticed I felt a burn every time that my stoma would ooze out, you know, feces, I guess that's what you're gonna call it, when it was getting rid of that. And that burned. And some people do have a little breakdown on their skin around their stoma. That's why you have to be really careful how you measure. When we were talking about how you have that little measuring kit and you cut your bag, your ostomy bag, that it needs to fit really well. I had I wouldn't call it breakdown. I had a little bit of redness around my ostomy, but I did really well. But I did notice that it did depend on brand, like I was talking about that buffalo sauce, because I made for Super Bowl Sunday, I made chicken with a buffalo sauce for me, my sister, and her husband. And the buffalo sauce that I had, it was a Louisiana hot sauce, regular one, didn't bother me whatsoever. So those are things you have to watch out for. But again, everybody's bodies are different and everybody reacts to things different. So that is something that you need to keep in mind when you have the bag. So now moving on, I had my takedown on February 22nd on Monday. Normally, I guess for everybody, that one hurts more. Very first thing when I was in the prep room, which is also the recovery room, and waiting, you know, they're doing all my vitals, asking me all my questions. You're laying there. My surgeon always comes and says hi beforehand and makes sure that I sign off on my release forms. He did say that it's gonna hurt more. Just because they, you know, it didn't hurt. It was more soreness with the first surgery because everything was laparoscopic. The only more painful part was the stoma. This one, they weren't planning on doing anything laparoscopic. I think this one was all, let's take your, you know, your intestines that we cut in half and sew it back together and then put it back in your body, however they do, and then sew or staple up the top. So that definitely obviously would hurt more. It's really a short surgery. It was only supposed to take an hour for me. But I guess mine took a little over 3 hours. Mine took almost 4 hours. When he came out of the surgery with me and put me in recovery, he told my mom and my sister, who were starting to lose their minds. They're like, why is it more than an hour? He said that I had a lot of scar tissue from the first surgery where they took out my colon. And I guess that kind of blocked the passageway of where they needed to put my small intestine. I'm not quite sure. But he had to go back in through my laparoscopic incisions, which didn't cause the pain. But he had to cut up and get rid of that scar tissue, and that what caused me extra pain. So not only did I have the surgery that was more painful, but I had to get all that scar tissue removed and cut up and taken out of my body, which caused me even more pain. So when I woke up, I was in pain. I felt like, for some reason though, like I said, from the first surgery, when you're in recovery and you have to, when you're on all that anesthesia, you have to really push yourself to wake up. I felt like I didn't have to try as hard this time, but the pain was astronomical. That's the best word that I could use for it. It was really bad. So, and I was in that recovery room, I think, for like 2 hours. It didn't seem that long, but when I was looking at the clock finally, when I was becoming more aware, and I was like, why are they not getting me in a room? I want to see my sister and I want to see my mom. And they had me on Dilaudid and other medicine. Probably liquid Tylenol that they give you and stuff. That helped a little bit, but I was in so much pain. They also had to do, they asked me beforehand. Also, I should pause real quick before I continue with that. When you are in prep, like how I said my surgeon came and told me, hey, oh good, let's sign you off on everything and letting you know this is going to hurt more and stuff. Your anesthesiologist comes in too, just like in my other surgery I told you about. I had a different anesthesiologist this time. She was really sweet, but I decided to tell her, since from my first surgery in my hospital stay, I had so much horrific nausea, which I wasn't sure if that was partly from the anesthesia or other things. It could have been, I'm not sure, but I decided to let her know that. So I think she used a different type of anesthesia this time, because I don't remember getting knocked out. Because I do remember the first time, because like I told you, it burned and my anesthesiologist told me it would burn. All I remember was she gave me the sedative beforehand. We go in there. They're talking to each other, prep surgery, my surgeon and his team, and I pipe in and say something to my surgeon. And that's all I remember. So I don't know. And I didn't have any nausea problems at all. The only time I had a nausea problem was when they did try to mix later on in my stay Oxy and Tylenol, which is Percocet, as we explained before, and that didn't sit well with me. That caused a little nausea, so we stopped doing that immediately, and I was fine for this time. So if you had a lot of nausea in the first surgery, definitely let your anesthesiologist definitely let them know ahead of time before the second surgery, because that could have partly been part of the problem, because maybe it was for me and I didn't have any problems this time with nausea. Anyways, so let's go back to me waking up, and the pain was so bad, and I think they were giving me Dilaudid and stuff, and I was still in recovery. They asked me beforehand or let me know, since this was going to be more painful, that they could do something called a pain block. Pardon my mouth. in my head, because I was so groggy, and when I was waking up I kept thinking they were saying cock block. I know that's not what they were saying, but something block that was going to help me with my pain. And I finally just said, yes, please. But they had to get the anesthesiologist to do it for some reason, or some doctor. I was really out of it. So I was waiting and waiting and waiting for them to get my person to do that. But my surgeon and his team were having back-to-back takedown surgeries that morning right after me. So my person wasn't available. So they had to wait for somebody. So that I was just waiting. So finally they found someone. And it did help, but this is what they had to do. And if you're in a lot of pain, I would suggest asking for this if they do offer it. They had to get a ultrasound machine. So, you know, my doctor, or the person that's doing it, is on my right. The ultrasound machine is over here, so I can see it. I'm laying flat on my back, and he has this long needle. He told me he has he kind of explained it to me beforehand, so I don't really know if he was going in and injecting this pain medicine, and I'm not quite sure what pain medicine they're using. He has to inject it in my intestine. I'm not sure. But I got to see him and the long, disgusting, creepy needle going inside. It definitely hurt when he first put it in. He numbed the area first before going full force. And I think he was moving it around when he was in there, so it felt weird, and I let him know it felt weird. But it helped immensely. The pain didn't go away 100%, but it really helped. So if you are in a lot of pain, I do suggest that, because the pain was just really bad. And I think I have a high tolerance for pain, because the first surgery I refused a lot of the pain medicine. Even when I got home, they gave me Oxy to take home with me, which kind of scared me. It's like, I don't want to take Oxy, and I didn't take Oxy after the first surgery, pardon me. But this was bad, and to the point where I was finally released, I was taking Oxy until I ran out of it, and now I'm on Tramadol. My pain has definitely gone down, but I'm still taking the Tramadol and Tylenol together. Anyway, so that all happened. So I definitely suggest, you know, asking for that if they offer it. So now let's talk about, because I can go in with my hospital stay, because other than that, my hospital stay was really comfortable and way easy compared to my first thing. They just want to make sure everything starts working correctly. Like they told me to bring gum. They didn't offer it to me this time, which I thought was funny, like they did in the first surgery, but they told me to bring my own gum, which sure, why not? I always have gum, but that's to make sure that your bowels are starting to work. This one I don't think is as scary as the first surgery. So mainly this is just making sure that you recover, that there's no infection, you don't get pneumonia, that you're ready to go home and you're fine. So this is always a shorter hospital stay. And I think that this hospital stay was way more comfortable for me this time because I wasn't as nauseous. I was already a little bit more used to my wiring, because I think getting rewired took some time to get used to, and that was also uncomfortable. And then also because I was on a lot of pain meds, I was happy as a camper, man. I think it really helped a lot. But the thing that I really was so obsessed about, and I do want to talk about this because it helped me to the point where I did hit certain, what you would call obstacles now and when I was in the hospital, I was prepared. So I was so obsessed before the first surgery and then after the first surgery of making sure that I would know how to live my life with a J pouch. You know, constantly reading about people having problems with pouchitis or problems with butt burn. You know, how soon am I going to be able to go to work? Am I going to be crapping my pants? Am I going to learn how to hold it? You know, just obsessed. And of course, after this first, that's why I never once thought of recovery once I hit this first surgery. And then once I had this first surgery, that was all I could read about. I wanted to make sure I was prepared beforehand, that my mom and everybody else was like, Rosie, you need to focus on recovery. Don't stress yourself out. You'll hit all that stuff when it comes. I wasn't stressed out, luckily. I just really wanted to be ahead of schedule. And I'm kind of glad that I did. I'm pretty sure that my mom and everybody else were too, because I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing really well. Minus the pain, and I get tired real quickly, can't fully stand up straight, can't walk very far, but you know, what do you expect? It's going to take me a long time. But for the stuff that I was so terrified about, I'm doing very well. So I definitely want to pass this on to everybody, I would prepare yourself big time. The first thing, of course, I was afraid of was butt burn. When I started going on jpouch.org, and instead of asking questions, I just first typed things in and searched people's concerns, what things they were having problems with, what people's responses were, in telling them how they handled it. So I came across this Calmoseptine cream quite a bit. This is a huge thing in the ostomy / jpouch world, and I gotta tell you, I bought 2 creams, and out of them, this is the one that I've been using. I bought a 3-pack off of Amazon, and out of all the stuff that I'm going to show you today, I'm going to put links down at the bottom of the video of where I bought them. So if you want to prepare, you can easily just click on that and access it. So I had everything ready before I went into surgery number 2. This stuff is great. It protects, soothes, and helps promote healing. Because with you can have a lot of unwanted leakage in the middle of the night or incontinence, and you have to keep in mind that since you don't have a colon, you know, it's a lot more liquidy, and you have all the acids. It's basically one step after throw up. So you can have a lot of burn around your skin and a lot of burn right inside. Basically, some people were saying, like, right inside your butt. And then the other cream that I got is called, this one's more of a paste. It's Ilex Skin Protectant Paste. I barely use this because I thought this was going to be the one that would be more important than the Calmoseptine. This one is for if you just have crazy out of this world, you know, butt burn, basically, where it's really broken down your skin on your butt. You basically put this on here, and you have to build it up as a layer. It's not really a cream to rub in. It builds up a layer so that it acts as a guard. It protects. So if that acidic, you know, output coming out hits that can't get through this. So then I mean, I read for some people that were just having such bad problems where the butt burn was so horrifically bad they couldn't go to work, they couldn't do anything, it just took over their lives, that this was kind of like a night and day difference. So I definitely bought this. This was a little bit expensive though, and I bought a 2-pack. I think the 2-pack was $36, which I think is really pricey, but I wanted to make sure that, because I didn't know what was going to happen for me, I wanted to make sure that I had my T's crossed and my I's dotted, and I had everything that I needed. I had my kit prepared. So these 2 things I would suggest to prepare with, just because you don't know what's going to happen for you. This tends to be the one that everybody uses, which is, this has so far been the only one that I've really used. Second to that, let's talk about, and this is going to be a necessity, I think, for the rest of your life as a jpoucher. I wanted to get a bidet. And bidets come in so many different forms. So I was pretty much looking for 2 months straight online about which one I should buy. Now, if anyone doesn't know what a bidet is either it hooks around, it's either a toilet seat itself, or it hooks on your toilet seat, or it's a spray gadget that you can hook onto your side of your toilet. It sprays water, so you clean yourself, your bottom, with water, and you can get a pretty harsh spray if you want. A high pressure spray to clean your bottom after you go to the bathroom, which is, I think, is really important because, like I said, your output or your feces are going to have all that acid that you normally don't have that can hurt your skin. So it's really good to get all of that off, and that way you can prevent butt burn as much as possible and just keep your skin nice and wound free. Also, I read too that the pressure is important in case you are having that irritation, that butt burn or the itchiness right inside. You can kind of spray right up, and it can, you know, how harsh the pressure is can maybe get up in there a little bit. So I think that's really important. So I bought a bidet, and I just started off right now with a handheld one. I finally just went to jpoucher.org, and because I think since this is something that we're probably going to need for the rest of our lives, I think our bodies are going to adapt to what's coming out of us. I honestly think that it will. So I don't think butt burn is going to be a lifetime issue, but I definitely think that getting a bidet is going to be a lifetime issue that we need. I finally just gave up on figuring out which one I wanted to buy because I didn't know how much money I wanted to spend on one, and I was reading lots of reviews. I finally just found this lady on jpouch.org, and I really liked what she said. She responded to somebody's concern about it, and that she said that this was the one that she started with, and you know, it was this much money and these were the problems with it, but really the good outweighed the bad, and this one lasted for so many years until she decided to invest in one that was really expensive that she would have for the rest of her life. And I like that logic. So I decided to just get a handheld one. It is kind of open because my mom was going to put it together for me when I was in the hospital, but there was one part she couldn't figure out on my toilet, not on like the gadget, not on this. This is actually quite easy to put together. And just because I mean, I may look well, but the walking and the bending down, I don't have the capability. And I can't even pick up my cat right now. Like, if I want my cat to come into bed with me at night, which she usually sleeps with me every night, my brother-in-law or my sister need to pick her up. So I don't have really much strength to do anything. So I need my brother-in-law to put this together for me. So I got this off of Amazon. I'll also put the link on there. It is a stainless steel, and the thing that I did like about getting the handheld one to start off with, it even comes with a gadget where it hooks up to the side of your toilet. I do like that you can control the water pressure, like, so I can, you know, get as much off as I can. The good thing, sorry if this is a little TMI, but you know, all of us IBD kids, we're all TMI, but if anyone's watching this and you don't have IBD, apologies, this is TMI. I feel like my output coming out of my bottom doesn't really stick to me that well, which is great. So I don't really have to wash myself off too harsh anyways, but I'm going to do it. I want to get as much off. It also suggested, I love Amazon, by the way, you guys, again, I'm going to put a link for this too. When I did buy this, or when I put it in my cart, it has, oh, what people most commonly buy with it. And it was this tape stuff, I think, to wrap around some valve or something to prevent it from leaking, and it was $2. So I bought this. I think this was $26 or $27, which is really cheap for a bidet, but this is the one that I'm going to start off with for whenever I can invest in my really expensive lifetime bidet that I can take with me. And that one, I'm not going to put a link to that one because I'm not using it yet, but the lady that suggested this one on jpouch.org, the one that she invested in, she put a link for that. I think that one's like $500, and it is your actual toilet seat, and it has warm and cold water that you can choose from. This one just hooks up to your regular cold water, so sorry if, you know, but right now it doesn't really matter for me. And then that way, the cool thing too is you don't have to use as much toilet paper, because a lot of people get burn and from rubbing too much with toilet paper. I tend to just pat the area dry and pat my bum, the actual anus area, I'll pat that. I'm still using toilet paper, but I'm not rubbing myself with it, and this does most of the cleaning. So definitely this is a must. I did though decide to get this because you can't bring a bidet with you when you're not home, okay? The reason why I told in my last video I wanted to keep my ostomy kit, it was that black thing with the Velcro zipper, and the reason why I wanted to keep that, I just thought that was such a good thing that I can pop in my purse. I wanted to make sure that I put in, you know, if I can get travel size creams of this. I also needed to find a way to wash myself off if necessary when I'm not at work. And I know that there are wet wipes that people use, but you know, I didn't want to do those, and I haven't read good enough reviews of people that are jpouchers with those compared to having better results when they actually spray themselves with water. So I ordered these. I didn't mean to get one that was this big at all. I ordered a 2-pack, but I'm a dingle hopper when it comes to measurements. I'm just really not the brightest cupcake. I honestly probably could have figured it out, but I was just so tired of looking and trying to choose which one to get. And I think this 2-pack off of Amazon was, I think, $4.33. It's cheap. I will, though, put a link for this one, too, and I'll put the correct size. I wanted one that was obviously smaller, not as thick, something that I can pop in that kit and I can bring with me when I'm at work. I'm planning on actually just leaving a kit at work and then having a kit in my purse, so I don't have to, oh my God, I'm going out of town and I left my kit at work. You know, I wanted to make sure that I have all my options covered. This I have been using since I don't have my bidet hooked up yet. And it's great. And I made sure from reading other people's things on jpoucher.org or Healing Well and different things that I got the ones that are like a ketchup or mustard bottle, that so you can get a sharp squeeze with it. And then also my concern was, what if I'm really irritated right inside? Because I've heard read horror stories about having really bad irritation right inside the anus. So this you can just kind of press, of course don't stick it inside you, but press up and push real hard and it can maybe flush that out a little bit. This has been really useful. The only thing that again sucks about it is it's so big, so I'm like at different angles. I go in the front and I go in the back, and it's just, yeah, so I definitely am ordering the smaller ones. I think the smaller ones are like $4 too. They're really cheap, but it's worth it. So I would much rather have these versus the wet wipes. I didn't get any wet wipes, so if you prefer those, I don't know which ones to suggest, so you might want to look those up. The other good thing I noticed, well, first, the bad thing is, of course, I didn't have a period for 2 months. So women that are watching this, and I'm always regular with my menstrual cycles. After my first surgery, I was regular. I had a period right away when I went home, which kind of sucked because it was like right when you were healing, right after surgery. But after that, I didn't have a period for 2 months. And I think it's just because of the shock from your body. And now my body, right after this surgery, the minute I get home, I decided to start a full-on period. Great. Luckily it ended and it wasn't a horrific period, but I think it caused a lot of cramping down there that I didn't need because I'm already in pain and swollen. But this is really great to have too, if you know, you can just kind of clean yourself off, so it helps you just feel a little bit fresh too. So that's kind of an upside too for women. But definitely get these have a kit that you keep at work. I would suggest just keeping it at work if you can. That way you don't have to worry about forgetting it or leaving it anywhere, you know. So then I would have a travel kit that's always in your purse. So then you just have good access to it and you're not stranded when you need it. These are amazing. Okay, moving on. Let's see. These weren't necessarily, I would say, necessities for other people, but for me this was important because, again, pouchitis was something that I was really concerned about. And I was also, when you have your ileostomy, I didn't really talk about this in the last video, you know, you want to make sure you have to watch your output, and your goal is to get a thick output, like pudding would be the thickest that it could ever be, because if it's really thin and it's watery, you don't have very much control and it'll just go through you and you lose a lot of water and you can get dehydrated. So you want to make sure your stool is thick. I think over time your body adapts. Because just talking to other people and reading other things, they don't have to take as much Imodium or Metamucil anymore as they used to, which are the things that most people take. And they even actually prescribed me Metamucil at the hospital the first time. So this is something you prepared with, but I didn't really put that on the list to being prepared with because you already technically have it and you probably have it from the first time. And same with the Imodium. This is the generic brand that Kaiser gives, but it works just as well. And those, you're going to have to figure out how much you're going to need. Real quick, since we're talking about Metamucil, Metamucil is pretty natural. It's just the psyllium fiber. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. The psyllium husk The only bad thing is if you get Metamucil or the off-brand, it has sugar in it. I guess because people can't handle bland taste because it really doesn't taste like anything. It just tastes like cardboard. It's not bad. But I guess people are really sensitive to that stuff. To me, I think that's like, come on, we have harder things to deal with. Really, you're gonna add sugar. And I honestly don't think sugar is good for if you're worried about getting an infection like pouchitis. I would avoid something like that. So you can actually just buy psyllium husk plain. So that's gonna, I got this for free from my doctor, so even though it was prescription, so after I'm done with this, then I'm gonna go buy the psyllium husk because it does help a little bit if there's certain things that I've ate that I do know, like cheese, for example, which I try to not touch dairy, but cheese will make my output a little more watery and consistent. This does help to slow it down at night. So that's just kind of a tip. I would probably move on from Metamucil and I would definitely just get psyllium husk. Another thing that I was thinking about since I was concerned about pouchitis was when I was just dealing with my ulcerative colitis naturally, one of the supplements that I would take that would help with healing was called Bentonite Clay. You can actually buy it. It's considered a detox, but it's basically Bentonite Clay watered down. You can get it. Herba Buena is a brand that you can get. I don't like that brand because I can notice the effects aren't as strong. I don't think it's as pure. But it also acts as a detox and it gets rid of, sucks out all the bad, yicky, bad bacteria out of your body. And I came across on jpoucher.org that somebody was using that to thicken up their stool, Bentonite Clay, and then also got rid of all their, it prevented them from having any kind of pouchitis, which makes a little sense to me. Now, I don't know if I'm going to have problems with pouchitis at all. Talking to my doctor, I even mentioned Bentonite Clay to him and he says, you know, you don't know until you know. And my friend Kenneth, yes, Kenneth, I'm mentioning you in my video, he's had this procedure done a year ago and has not had one bit of a problem with pouchitis. Lucky duck. So, you know, you just never know. But I got the Bentonite Clay anyways. This is my brand that I like. It's Sones. I'll put a link down for this too. Oh, and since we were talking about psyllium husk, I'll just put a link down for psyllium husk too. Why not? But I get this off of Amazon. I've gotten it before. I love it. A little bit goes a long way. I like to take this on an empty stomach. I haven't tried it yet to think about thickening up my stool because my whole thing is I want it to clean out my intestines in my pouch. So I'll take this first thing in the morning, like a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons, and fill it up with water and drink it. It tastes like clay, doesn't bother me. And just make sure you drink lots of water in the middle and, you know, throughout the day just to kind of push things throughout your body. I think it has thickened up my stool anyways, even though I've taken it on an empty stomach an hour before I eat anything because you can kind of tell in the color of your stool. But this is something that I'm just going to be consistent with because it is healthy with you. You can also even use it externally as a mask. It helps with wound healing too. If you use it externally as a mask, it can get rid of acne. You know, there's just so many uses to this. But I'll put a link for this down too. I love this brand. Even if you don't have the surgery yet, this does help. The reason why I would take this when I had my ulcerative colitis was because it does soothe irritation. It soothes the wounds that I had, the ulcers, and it would help to stop bleeding. So this stuff does really help. So I'll put a link down for this too. The other things that I'm going to add in there that I was also concerned about was when I found out when I woke up that the reason why my surgery took longer was because of scar tissue. That was a huge concern for me. My sister had Crohn's disease and she had part of her colon taken out 12 years ago. She's been in remission ever since. It was the ascending part of her colon up on her right side by where your appendix is. So her appendix was also, you know, it caused her appendix to burst and everything. Anyways, but she's had scar tissue issues throughout the years. Where it can get hard, and I don't know if it's caused her blockages, but I know it's caused her some irritations that's put her in the hospital here or there. and then talking to my friend Kenneth when we were talking about blockages or something, I think he said in one of our emails that he thinks it could have been scar tissue that caused a blockage. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. Sorry, Kenneth, about that email. So if I'm throwing words in your mouth, I'm sorry. But that was always a concern of mine. Like, what if I have scar tissue where they connect my intestines back together? And, you know, and it causes, and it can cause blockages. I don't want that. And when I was really concerned when I woke up and my doctor came and visited me 2 days after my surgery. You know, he told me that the scar tissue was so horrendous. That's why it took so long, that they had to cut through it all and get rid of it. And I told him that really concerned me. And so I mentioned to him, what about Serrapeptase? Because there's these certain kind of enzymes that I learned about when I was always trying to heal my ulcerative colitis. Because when you have all that damage against your colon from your colitis, your Crohn's or whatever, it causes all scar tissue, all these wounds that heal, you get all the scar tissue. So there's these certain enzymes, I forgot what they're called. Serrapeptase is one of them. Bromelain, which is from pineapple, is one of them. There's one that starts with a P, but they help eat away scar tissue. Bromelain doesn't eat it away as strongly. I'll put a link down to this really cool website that I found that explains things really well. Serrapeptase, I think, and one that starts with a P, Promise something teas, I don't remember. Those ones really eat away scar tissue. So I want to make sure that I take those. And the other good thing about those is they are super highly anti-inflammatory. So that'll help with your healing process or any aches and pains you might have. They also will help with joint problems too. And I think the scar tissue stuff does help with people that have arthritis and different things in their joints, or any damage anywhere. So I'm going to put a link to read about it. And I'm also going to put a link down to the ones that I bought and the ones that I kind of want to buy because they're a little expensive. But when I mentioned this to my surgeon, he said, you know, scar tissue has no rhyme or reason, so I don't know if that'll help. And I also think it's because when we and I'm sure a lot of us have experienced this, IBDers, because I'm sure a lot of us have tried to manage things naturally. Our doctors and surgeons they don't really know about that kind of stuff. So some of them do, but most of them really don't know 100% about it. There's not enough studies to go into it anyways because it is natural. So that's something that I got. I already had this from before, but my other concern is that how absorption works, because sometimes things are extended capsules, which we can't take because we don't have a colon anymore. So these ones are the enteric coated ones, but they're supposed to not break down until they get in the small intestine. So they're supposed to withstand the acid in your stomach, and then once they hit your intestine, you're fine. So I think we'll be fine with these. These ones are 40,000 units, but from the article I'm reading, it said take the 80,000 units. So I'm going to invest in getting the other ones. The other ones are just more expensive. They have Serrapeptase. They also have the other one that I don't know what it's called in there, and they have a little bromelain in there. Speaking of bromelain, I do have bromelain as well, but I kind of rather have this all together. So I think that's something I prepared with that too, just in case. I luckily already had it, and then look, I had scar tissue problems, so I wasn't taking this beforehand, but now this is definitely something I'm going to take. Something else that I was already prepared for, since I want to make sure that I'm getting all my nutrients, because there's a lot of things that I can't eat anymore, and I couldn't beforehand, but there's just things that go through me lickety-split, like greens, collard greens go through me even if I boil them, or if I had a green smoothie, it just goes through me. I had a smoothie with a whole bunch of strawberries and blackberries. It just went through me. I don't know if I even absorbed it or not. That might change now over time since my body's adapting, but there is a supplement brand of vitamins, a multivitamin called Forvia, that is designed for people that have IBD, and it's designed for people that are ostomates or have a J pouch. I'll put the link for where I got these. I think this was like $25 for a bottle, and you're supposed to take 2 a day. They have chewable ones, or they have tablets. I got the chewables just so it absorbs right away. I've read a lot of great reviews on this, and then I have read, but it's very minimal. I have read some reviews where it's just too much vitamins for people, and people were having problems. There was too much of a supplement of vitamin A or something for people, where they were actually having problems and they went in the hospital, and the doctors were like, yeah, you need to stop taking that. It's giving you too much. But I think that might be in certain cases. So I actually only take one a day because it tells you to take two. Haven't had any problems. And again, the majority of people that take this have been great, but it kind of gives you everything that you need. And I want to make sure that I'm covered just because our bodies have been through the ringer, and I want to protect myself for future. Like, my health is my #1 thing. The other thing too, I have 2 more things. Heat packs. Oh my gosh. Okay, I should have just said this in my last video. I used these. These have like rice and lavender and different things in it. I used this like crazy when I had my bag, just because it helps things digest a little bit better. I have one that is for your neck, but I mostly just kind of wrap it on one side of my stomach, and then I have this. I still use these all the time because it just feels really good on the stomachs, and especially since you're going through a lot of healing. And when I was going through my acupuncture before my surgery, they always would put like a heat lamp treatment or a heat lamp thing over your stomach, and he says that that's really healing for your body. So I got these off of Amazon. They were $7.99. I actually would invest in better ones than the ones that I got, just because I put mine in for 4 minutes. It tells you 2 minutes, but it doesn't get hot enough. And this one burst, so I had to sew it together. So I think these were kind of cheapy ones. I just thought they were cute. So I'll put the link in for those too, but I would probably invest in something that is a little bit nicer. But I'm in love with these. You can also put them in your freezer too, but I don't want anything cold. I want it hot. Last two things. Okay, something that you're gonna experience definitely right after your surgery, once your bowels start working, and it really hit me once I got home from the hospital. First of all, it would take me like 20 minutes to do a bowel movement. It was weird. It's just like, as you were still figuring out how to use your muscles down there. Now I'm pretty much like, whoa, when I gotta go, I gotta go. Everything's working. But gas was ouch. Like, your stomach, #1, is out to here. I'm still pretty swollen. It hurts, but then on top of it, it was extra bloated because you had gas roaming around in there, and you would feel it moving, and you would have to just stop because it would hurt so bad. Almost like when you were having your colitis problems and you would feel it turn and your tummy would turn and it would hurt so bad you would just have to stop. That's the pain with the gas. And finally, like, and I was fine when I was having my bowel movements that would take 20 minutes, it wasn't coming out. And from what I read, you can't really have a separate bowel movement and I'm going to say fart, and a fart separate from each other. They're just come together, which kind of sucks, because if you need to pass gas, man, wouldn't you rather just pass gas instead of having to poop along with it? Or if you have to pass gas, you have to run to the bathroom every time because you're going to poop, you know? Anyways, so I immediately got on jpoucher.org when it was getting bad, and finally some came out in the middle of a bowel movement, and it hurt when it came out because you felt your pouch, your J pouch inside go, because it just shot out really fast, and it felt like your J pouch got slugged real hard. I mean, it hurts. But I went on jpoucher.org, and that's pretty normal for people. Is the gas thing, but once you get regulated, it's fine. And then on a good note, I found out that I can pass gas and go to the bathroom separately. So I'm really thankful for that. I remember when that first happened, and again, this is TMI, so sorry if you're not an IBD kid and you're not used to TMI and you're watching this. TMI. Everybody poops, everybody farts. When I first was able to get that out, I text my mom and my sister. I was like, oh my God, I farted without having to go poop or whatever. And oh my God, it felt so great. And I'm so happy. And there was like a certain position, you know, and I was really happy about it. The gas problem has really eased up. I don't have that pain anymore. That went away fast, but it was a concern because it was so painful. It was so painful enough that there's so many inquiries about it on jpouch.org. So just letting you know that when you do go through that, I was about to call my doctor because I was worried, but when I read the stuff, when you do go through that, it's completely normal and that'll go away. A really big tip though, and I started thinking about this when I was going through it, so I make sure I drink this every night. Mint tea, not peppermint or not spearmint, peppermint is your best friend. You can also do catnip. I know, kind of funny. I just don't have access to the vitamin store right now that sells the catnip pills. Though that's part of the mint family, but those help with gas immensely. And when I was having a lot of gas problems before my surgery, I would take my catnip pills or I would drink a lot of my mint tea and it would help with that big time. So I couldn't get mint tea at the store that I was at, but this was on sale at Grocery Outlet, which I love that store. It's a naturally decaffeinated green tea, but it has peppermint is the first ingredient in there, and then it has like vanilla and stuff in this. So I put 2 tea bags in a cup and I drink at least 3 cups of this a night just to ease up the gas. If you do the mint tea, that of course will help. And surprisingly, catnip helps too. Catnip helps. You can either take it in pill form or you'll notice it with stomach things, stomach teas, that it isn't a lot of tea and it helps big time with gas. I don't know how, it just makes it disappear, but it helps huge. And catnip also helps you sleep better at night, and I noticed peppermint does too. So that would be my suggestion, big time. I will find my favorite brand. Yes, there is a brand of peppermint tea, and I will put a link to that as well. You can find it at most health food stores, but I'll put a link. Last thing I want, because I just thought about this. Since today I didn't even mention one of the things, so there are 2 things, but I'll say this first. Since today I was having my little oozing problems around my where I got my staples, and I was thinking this when I left the hospital. Make sure you ask when you're at the hospital for them to give you extra gauze so you can put that over it loosely, just because it was also irritating, just even when the scabs were there, just touching my clothes, it kind of irritated. So make sure you ask for that, like you have your own little kit when you leave the doctor's. Last but not least, I can't believe I don't have this, so excuse me one second. I ordered Depends because that was another concern, was that I wasn't going to have incontinence for a while. That normally hits people for like the first 2 weeks. Very important. And I've got to tell you, I'm really surprised at how expensive Depends are. I got a thing of 30, and I accidentally got 2 packs of them. I got one of them for free because Amazon messed up on a shipment. So, whoa, I'm not going to need to use them. These I was really worried about. I thankfully haven't had any incontinence issues at all. Just the first time when my bowels started working, I got up and I noticed it, and that's because I was only on broth and Jello. And I cleaned myself up really well and everything, and I immediately put one of these on in the hospital. They don't want you to wear diapers or Depends in the hospital for their own reasons, but I put one on. Ever since then, I haven't had any incontinence problems. I've had a lot of control, which is crazy. So I am wearing these though. Sorry, it makes me so flattering, but I am wearing these because the only problem I'm having here and there is I gotten a little itchy just around my anus. So sometimes I use this cream, and this cream is heaven because it kind of ices the area. It just freezes everything, makes it feel really good. And I don't want this to get on my underwear. So I'm still wearing these, and kind of a side note, Depends are really comfortable. So I'll put the link down for what I got because they were the best version of what I could find for Depends for the cheapest price. And I got this off of Amazon as well. So I'll put a link down at the bottom. But yeah, so that would be my suggestion. Right now, my recovery is doing way better than I expected. Like I said, I'm not having any incontinence issues. I know a lot of people do have that where it's really unbearable. I have no idea why I'm not. I don't know if I'm doing anything different or if it's just because of my make or my muscles. I have no clue. Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not hungry as I normally am. I feel like I fill up fast, so I tend to only have one meal a day. Maybe I'll have a little tiny bit of snack at night and maybe a tiny bit of a snack in the morning, but mainly lunch. That's my only meal. I'm able to drink coffee. It doesn't cause me to have cramps. I definitely drink a lot of water. Things are good. The interesting thing is, though, you will feel the urge to go to the bathroom. And I've noticed that when I went to the little shopping areas by my house, because again, I can't do much and I can't stand for very long. That's going to take you a while. That's going to take me a while anyways, because I hunch over when I walk. That when I felt the urge to go, I was like, oh my God, I got to go to the bathroom. It's kind of that familiar feeling, but not, but then you have to remind yourself that you can hold it and then you're fine. So far that's just kind of how my healing process is going. I'm getting my staples taken out on the 8th. And I guess I'll keep everybody updated with how things are going, but you know, so far so good. So I'm going to put all the links down for everything I suggested. If you guys have any questions about anything, or if you guys have any suggestions about things of that you think would be a good idea versus what I have, don't hesitate to put it in there. But sorry this video was long. I got to edit it. I hope I don't, I mean, I want to keep as much in here as possible, but I really hope that you guys watch this. I'm so sorry if they're so long, but I really want to help. So I love you guys, and I'll keep you posted on how my healing process is going, and if there's anything else that pops in my head about things that I think would be a good idea for jpouchers, then I'm gonna post a video about it. All right, have a great night. Bye.